Crash Course Live is presented by
Smash It Demolition Derby, who host Bash for Cash, Blizzard Bash, and Capital City Carnage. Online at smashitderby.com. And Stirring Dirt Racing, host of May Mania's team show at the Golden Spike Arena in Ogden, Utah. Online at stirringdirtracing.com.
Reckless Abandon Derby Apparel and Derby Inc. Magazine. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York. And now your host, Chris Marquardt.
Good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to this edition of the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast. I agree. Chuck Bowman is probably the craziest guy that I've ever come to know. He's something. His Facebook Lives since this weekend pertaining to some of the stuff happening in the Finger Lakes. Wow. He's a bold fella.
Makes some news.
Oh yeah. Yep.
I've known the Hillbilly Hammer, as he's known in the Derby world, most of my life, and he's one of those guys that if he's behind you and believes in you or believes in a cause, he sticks with it. Mm-hmm. And that's being shown this week on Facebook Live. So hopefully, we're good. Hopefully everything turns out okay, and
And some of the debates that we've got going online regarding all that stuff with the Hugo Nation and stuff, it's interesting just to watch all of it, all the different sides and everything as that goes. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast. It is episode number 310. You saw the picture of a young fella there at the beginning of the show. We're dedicating this episode to Cooper Snyder, who we lost. We're going to get into more of that a little bit later on. We'll get into that. But there's been some crazy news all over Demolition Derby today. I don't know if you've been following it all. Our script is basically blown to pieces, so we're gonna juggle as best we can. Addie Clemens is cancer free.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was just shared a couple hours ago. Lindsay Clemens shared that, and she's got a long road ahead still. She was stage 4 high-risk neuroblastoma when all this started, and cancer-free now. So that's really exciting. She still has to do chemo, still has to do bone marrow transplants and stuff like that, but awful good spot to be in going in, though, I would say.
Yes, definitely.
So that was exciting. And then the North Country drivers lost Mike Cooper since last time we were on the air. So that was some tough news to hear. So thinking of Mike and his family in the midst of all this, because I'm sure that's not anything that really anybody wanted to learn about. It was just a car accident, and that was really unfortunate. But we're thinking of them and the Clemens, of course, man. I didn't know about that until probably 5:40 or 20 minutes before the show started. Otherwise, unfortunately, Darric Wurth and Mark Elliott and Cheesy, we probably would be talking to Brent.
we were preempted to talk to Brent. Yeah. And it's way more important than Demolition Derby, so that's really great news.
And don't let me forget Paradise in all this, because in the hullabaloo of the last 2 weeks, I completely own this. I forgot to get a hold of Wayne and Tim about the Derby swap meet that they have at Paradise in Geneva. That is this weekend. Yep. And
they're supposed to be pretty decent.
Yeah, I know. It's going to be great. I mean, what a time. It was an honest mistake, and I really should have had them on. And I don't know if you saw, Tim just got a new upgraded Jesse's engagement ring.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. But I made that mistake, and those guys should have been here. We should have been talking more about that, but I'm going to try and cycle through that. I just saw Mad Mike DeFrecius say he's making his way up.
Yep. I believe he's going to be there.
Without doubt.
Hopefully with a bigger truck than last year, because I think he broke the truck he had last year.
If I could get a Sawzall, I would cut at least some of the cats out from underneath the Lincoln that's sitting in my front yard. Mm-hmm. right now I know that there's still cats underneath that car because the snow's piled up around it. And I don't think anybody came around them up front while I was asleep. But yeah, so that is this weekend. We'll give you some more details on that as we go.
Huge. Everybody's been talking about it. I actually got a chance last year. I was off from work, and I was able to stop out for a little while. So, it's a great opportunity to get out and do a little bit of derby stuff, buy some parts, just walk around a window shop if you want, talk derby with the guys. It's a great thing the Ellisons do. Derby's pretty big in the area, so it's kind of nice to have that, in the area to just to kind of get things ramped up here. Unfortunately, it's a little while longer before we start smashing anything locally, but it's really cool.
Yep. That again, the swap meet, Paradise Speedway in Geneva. Awesome. We got one bad phone number. We'll try the other one.
Chris is sounding better this week after battling 3 or 4 strains of illness last week.
It was a mess. It was all kinds of a mess. Paradise Speedway in Geneva. That's on Hayes Road. Is the home of the swap meet. Ryan Ostrander from Catskill is going to be there. Jeff Showman with the Fab Farm. Gary Noe, Rick Clark, all going to be there. This is Chris. Can I put you in? All right. But yeah, that's if you jump on Facebook and just punch in swap meet, the derby stuff will come right up. Punch in derby swap meet. You'll be able to find it quick and easy, and everything will be right there at your fingertips, and you can get more details on it. Cheesy joining us now. Cheesy man, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Capital City Carnage is knocking on the door. It's right around the corner, a little over a week away from that. How's everything going in terms of preparing for Capital City Carnage this year?
Well, kind of started working on the car a little late, but she's coming together.
Is this something that you put together from leftovers, or did you go ahead and build something all new?
No, I put back together the Blizzard Bash ride.
Right.
A couple more fix-it plates, she'll be good to go.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of sheet metal patching.
Yeah, it's all cosmetic anyway. You just need the frame to stay straight, right?
Yep, that's the plan.
So you're a fixture out there. We haven't had any on the show before. I appreciate you coming on the show and hanging out with us here for a little while. In terms of our trips to Topeka, we always look forward to seeing you and your crew run. And you guys have had some really, really good luck out there, and you've had some really, really bad luck out there. At the same time, it almost seems like it'd be a love-hate relationship with running at the Stormont Vale Event Center.
It definitely is. You go down there and you have bad luck. You just want to quit coming down there, and you come back, and like last year, we had a phenomenal year, and it was awesome.
And it was Mike Wurth that was the last card running for you guys, correct? And you guys ended up getting your national draw spot back.
Yep.
Which was
Mike's a hell of a driver.
That's a pretty good free agent pickup right there.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. He's one of my good friends. We live maybe 6 miles from each other.
Okay. Well, I think I just found the mistake then in the phone number that we had. That we're going to call Darric here in a few minutes.
Wrong area code?
No, the area code's right. The rest of it was there was a mistake in the rest of it, but all the same, we can make that work. So, do you still get excited for demolition derbies? I mean, Capital City Carnage and Blizzard Bash, they're both destination derbies. You got to be there and live it once. And we always talk about how the cars are so hard and they hit so hard, and you pull into the bowl and you're in the hockey arena and stuff like that. Does that still, for somebody who's done it so many times as you have, does that still resonate?
Oh, you still get butterflies. I guess if you don't get butterflies pulling onto that track, then you probably shouldn't be derbying.
Well, I suppose that's fair.
Very true.
How did you get into demolition derby as a whole? I mean, you've got the reputation now to where you're known simply by your nickname, and everybody basically in the country knows who you're talking about.
Yeah.
How'd you get into it, and how did it evolve to where we're at right now?
Well, my dad, he ran when I was growing up, and when I turned 15, he bought me a small car and started running, and then I started hanging out with Mike, and then I just started buying parts and trying to keep up with him, and And here we are today, I guess, spending stupid money on wrecking cars.
Yeah, we've heard that statement many times.
Yeah, it does summarize it pretty well, doesn't it?
Yeah, no doubt.
Oh, man. And it's fun drinking beer and working on cars, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. You guys have, like Chris mentioned, a staple at Blizzard Bash and running in Topeka. We only get out to see Blizzard Bash, and it's obviously, it's the hardest hitting derby we see year in and year out. Are derbies as a whole in that area in the Midwest, and that with that class, do they always drive hard, or is it just something about Topeka that just ramps it up and guys just get after stuff that much harder?
Around home, we pretty much, the mod class is kind of dying out, but we run against the same 5-6 guys every show, or maybe a straggler here and there, but it's pretty much wide open every time we hit the track.
I kind of figured, because it's,
Yeah, our county fairs can get pretty wild.
I bet.
You mentioned that the mod car class is that it's dying out, but at the same time, it's standard fare. Anytime you make the trip to Topeka, and it's usually a Blizzard Bash car that you see back again in the spring, and then that car runs all summer long when you do branch out into these big shows. And Brian brings up the point about running them hard or running wild, as you describe, but at the same time, the cars never really go away. They don't really change or anything like that. But what's it like to sit behind the wheel of one of those things after you've done it for so long? Is there any like you watch the in-car cameras when they're wrecking at Daytona, and the guys know what to do before they hit the wall? So, is there any driving tips that you could pass around, or things that you pick up and learn about how to not break your wrist?
Not really. Every time I go to make a hit, I'm gripping the wheel and hoping that don't bend. Every time.
Oh, yeah.
There's no right or wrong way to do it, I guess.
It's crazy. We've talked about it. We've been to other derbies, and you talk to guys, and people that haven't been there yet, and they're like, yeah, but the mod cars don't bend that much. And I'm like, when you go to Topeka for Blizzard Bash, stuff bends. Stuff that shouldn't bend. Guys got these huge cages. Cages end up bending. It's just such a without a doubt the hardest hitting show year in and year out. It's crazy. And the first year we were at Capital City Carnage, and they ran the mod. Well, it was the second year we were there, but they ran the mod show, and there wasn't many cars on the track. You remember there's a picture of Daniel.
The first year that we were there, it was mod rules, and then the second year it was you're talking about when it was the standalones.
There wasn't many mod cars, and man, the show they put on there, they were driving. There's a picture of Daniel Hart with somebody, he's off the ground and has somebody pinned against the wall, and it's just those cars and those drivers. It's so awesome to watch. You guys put on that show.
It's definitely crazy out there. It's just a blast having a car that hopefully doesn't bend, and then when it does bend, you're all, what did I do wrong here?
Right, now you got to find a way to fix that weak link that'll be able to survive 17 impacts with a Sherman tank.
Yeah, no kidding.
With that, you see the weird stuff break. The weird things go wrong. You still see transmissions and stuff like that, but you don't necessarily see the common broken rear ends and stuff like that. So it's the weird stuff that breaks, that disables the cars, and they lose steering, and then they just pummel them into submission, whatever. With that being the case, and everybody built so equal, and most of them again being carryovers from Blizzard Bash, the thing that I like about the mod class when we go out there for Capital City Carnage is the wild card. You don't know what's going to happen. I believe Matt Tice has a win.
Yep.
In the mod class, and I think it was Ryan McCracken that won last year, or a couple years ago. He had an awesome run. He got deep with it.
Yeah, I don't remember.
But you never know who's going to win. That variability that comes with the group that you're going to see on the track this week. Among them is going to be Cheesy and Darric Wurth. We're going to be talking to in a little bit. It's going to be good. How do you strategize for that? Other than going through your car and making sure it's ready, and of course everybody goes out on the track and they want to win and all the right things that a demolition derby driver is supposed to say. there still has to be, at some point, there's got to be strategies. It all come down to who you draft waiting and inspection line?
Yeah, I guess I'm not one to do a lot of politicking, but obviously you're going to find guys to run with. If there's people around my area going down there, so probably team up with them a little bit. I'm just looking forward to Carnage that I don't have to work on a car after I
run. Yeah, we've touched on that. I mean, the stuff you guys go through during the week of Blizzard Bash is just insane. I mean, we've seen guys change motors, transmissions. Rebuild the entire front end, suspension wise. It's just insane the amount of time and energy and money goes into that week. Once you get to the track, that's not even what you do before you get there. And even if you're
not at all.
Even if you win, your first 2 heats to make it into the final, 9 times out of 10, those cars are still, they're still beat pretty bad, and you have to do, you have to do so much work to get them to where they're going to hold up to the cars in the features. It's insane. That's one of the things, that people, until they've experienced it and saw it firsthand, they don't understand what it's like.
And it's just the preparation of going down there, what you bring and loading trailers and doing all this, and then you forget something. It's just a lot of time invested just getting shit ready to go down there.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Well, it's gotten to the point now where the last time I was out there, I bet you a quarter to close to half of the guys there had a skidster to pull and yank and bend. And, who would have thought that would be one of the things, okay, we got to bring all the parts and our skidster to straighten stuff out. That's kind of crazy when you start thinking about it.
Yeah, this is the first year we brought one, and glad we did. We had to pull a motor. It makes life easy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they come in handy.
Just getting cars back to the pits after you almost have to have that skid loader there so you're not waiting around.
Yep.
Sure.
Yeah, because you can't be wasting time out there. You got a set amount of time, and you got to get stuff done. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
We're talking a lot about Blizzard Bash here, but Capital City Carnage is the one that we're focused on. It's coming up here March 6th and 7th. The heat draws are going to be March the 5th. A lot of that wild repair stuff doesn't apply to the mod cars this time around. That's going to be reserved for the guys that are doing the 2-man class and the limited weld main draw, which both of those paying $10,000 to win. So you're going to see plenty of thrashing and work to get done just to better your odds at picking up your slice or your chance anyway at that $10,000 payday. What strikes me, though, is as we talk and reflect back on Blizzard Bash and the amount of work that goes into putting those cars together and fixing them again and again and again, is that's still not the death of them.
No.
They go back and fix them again, as Cheesy was just referencing. So, and when we're there, we see cars that are just absolutely broken. With the weird stuff, and when the bumpers are laid back sideways to the wheel, and the left side's still straight, and stuff like that. How much, Cheesy, does it take to fix again one of these things once you get it back home? Because it strikes me that to get everything back straight in line the way that you have to, there's got to be cases where you have to pull the body off, which means you're undoing all the pressurization, which means you have to do all that over again on a car that's already twisted to beat the band. How tough is it to put this back together so you can come and do a one and done?
Uh-oh.
We still got you? We lose you? Uh-oh. That's not a good sign.
We're experiencing technical difficulties.
Yeah. You still there? I'm waiting for him to pop up on Facebook or something. Huh. That's bizarre. This is one of those shows. With all the plans and stuff that we had put together.
Gone awry.
It's all...
Chris is going to try to get Cheesy back on again.
Something
that you touched on.
Yeah.
The limited weld, that's been the top. I don't want to say the top tier class, but it's been the premier class, I guess. It's Capital City Carnage as far as how the show's run.
Go ahead.
This year with the
you there?
This year with the 2-man extreme.
You hear me now?
Yep.
This year with the 2-man extreme, I don't believe the build rules have changed much for that.
No, they haven't.
it's going to be interesting to see, A, what that class is like, and B, how they rebuild and to come back for the feature.
Right, and that, I think your pace on paper should slow down, but when you've got two different people at two different sets of controls, on paper the pace should pick up. And history will tell you that pace doesn't slow down until everything is flat and hot and et cetera. So,
and plus we're going to be seeing heats, so it's not going to be, it's not going to be 40 of these cars or 20 of these cars on the track at one time.
Right.
They're gonna be broken down into heats, which means more running room, which means bigger hits in theory. So that's going to be a very interesting class.
It's going to be exciting to watch. And we got two different groups of compacts that we're going to be seeing as well. Cheesy's back on the line, and we're just kind of talking about what it takes to put one of these back together, because after the car gets run one time, you see some of the oddball stuff break, and you get the different combinations of repairs that are needed. You got to undo pressurizations and things like that, and then redo it on a car that's all bent out of shape. How challenging is it to rebuild your Blizzard Bash car after it's already gone through what it's gone through to make it ready to run for, I guess, the summer schedule when you start with Capital City Carnage and look through the rest of 2020?
Oh, it all depends what's wrong, but I'd rather build a fresh car than put one of these back together. I guarantee you that. It's just, you're working with junk pretty much.
Right.
Everything's sharp, and it's just, I don't enjoy putting them back together at all.
But at the same time, everybody does. It's that buyer's remorse. You've got this thing. It's like, I can get one more run out of it. It's a shame to waste it. Cars aren't getting any cheaper, and you can think of a million reasons why to not cut this car apart, even though you don't want to build it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. That's the big part. Who wants to come home and throw $1,000 or $3,000 car away when you could have another run or two left in it?
Yeah.
Or in a modified car, it's like fine wine. It just keeps getting better the older it gets, because it keeps growing more plates.
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of time that you guys put into building the cars, and it's got to be so hard to try to decide whether or not you want to fix it one more time to run, or if you're like, well, let's just send this to make some Kias, and we'll start with the next one. But
to me, it's, what time of the year is it? Should I be starting on a Blizzard Bash car, or should I get one more out of it?
Now, again, we've touched that Capital City Carnage is the big show coming up. But when will you start building your Blizzard Bash car?
I usually start in August, middle of August.
That's enough time.
There's a very.
Go
ahead.
You don't want to hit it hard a month before the Derby and get burnt out on it, but then again, I seem to be in the shop every night working on it.
Mm-hmm. That's the funny thing is that I've said it before a bunch of times, is it doesn't matter what level Demolition Derby you participate in or where you're from. It always seems like that last minute we're all burning the midnight oil trying to get stuff ready and put it on the trailer and get ready to go. It's just funny how it seems to work out the same for all of us.
You try to plan ahead, and you're going to get this done that night or this done that night, then a 10-minute job turns into a 6-hour job. It's just part of building them, I guess.
Yeah. There was a part of me that really hoped that Cheesy was going to say he started his Blizzard Bash car March 4th. Day before heat draws for Capital City Carnage.
Absolutely.
What combination have you got in that one?
In the one I bring to Carnage?
Yeah.
I have a Buick Electra with just a 383 stroker in it. Postal rear end, ski cradle, all the good stuff, I guess.
Right on.
Postal rear ends, there is a lot of them in the Derby world.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like every
Matt
place
and Scott are really good dudes.
Yeah, they are. They're good guys, very good guys. Got to be pretty busy too.
And that's one of those lifetime buys. You get one of those things, and as long as you keep the maintenance up on it, the only reason why you're going to buy a new one is to get the new model or because the paint got scratched.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, so, they are built pretty bulletproof.
Very much so. Anybody that you're looking forward to running into down there?
Literally.
Well, I probably hit Darric once or twice.
Just to make sure he's awake and ready, right?
Yeah, you gotta keep him on his toes a little bit. Other than that, no, I guess we'll see what happens when I get on the track.
Awesome. Well, man, I appreciate you coming on the show and hanging out with us for a little while. Is there anybody you want to make mention of?
Just my teammates, they're great dudes, Craig, Corey, and Mike, and can't thank my old man enough for helping me get these cars done.
Absolutely.
Well, better.
Cheesy, man, it was great having you on the show for a few minutes. I know you got more work that you got to get to here because we're less than what, 10 days away from heat draws.
Crazy.
At this point. So we won't keep you a whole lot longer. We do appreciate you coming on the show and hanging out for a bit. We look forward to seeing you down there.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Thanks a lot. We'll talk soon.
Yeah, bye.
There goes Cheesy. It's weird not saying a full name, but when I asked him, I said, "So do you want your whole name on here?" What's? And he goes, "Cheesy."
That's how his announcer everywhere he goes. Cheesy. It's pretty cool.
It absolutely is. So I suppose this is probably the item. Am I the only one that hears that? Or is there like something walking around above us?
Oh no, you didn't see it dive bomb us once? When you were talking to Cheesy,
okay.
Maybe real dying. Yeah, it dive
okay.
bombed. No, it's not in your head. You're okay.
All right, perfect. Because at this point, anything's possible. March 6th to the 7th, 2020, coming up just a little over a week away. CapitalCityCarnage.com has all the details. Capital City Carnage coming to you live on DerbyNation.tv. The Fantasy League is open, and you can get your entries in. All of that was shared on Facebook today via DerbyNation.tv is going to be carrying the live stream. Co-headliners, Limited World, 10,000 to win class, $2,500 Mad Dog Award, 50 car limit there. 2-man extremes going for 10,000 to win, also $2,500 Mad Dog Award there. Added this year is the front wheel drive Hobo stock and the Weld Street stocks. Weld Compacts and the modifieds. It was Weld Compacts that Nate Middendorf, defending champion, won that one last year in his Camaro. We'll have to see if he's able to. It was, wasn't it?
Oh, man. That was an awesome car.
25 car limit, $2,500 to win each of those support classes. Again, online entry lists and additional details for ticketing information is CapitalCityCarnage.com. We're going to try and shift gears now, and we'll get Darric Wurth back on the air. No, we've just lost everything.
Crash Course Live is presented by Smash It Demolition Derby.
Hell, host Bash is happening tonight.
Chris, how's your Monday going?
It's a Tuesday, so there's a good indicator right there. Everything just froze. Before we got started tonight, Jim came in and he told us that he's having a bit of a fight with Section 5
about the shows,
streaming basketball games. Tried to show me some new things to do. And he says, oh, by the way, the computer's been acting a little funky. I restarted it today, and everything should be fine. Don't worry about it. And as a side note, periodically the computer's been dropping its internet connection. So if it does, just come over here and unhook this cable and plug it back in, and you should be fine. But if it doesn't work...
Completely off topic. But
this is like... It was 5:30. He goes.
You've been through that before.
I've been there. And listen, I'm not in any way coming down on him or complaining about it, because I mean we get to come here and talk about Demolition Derby and everything like that. But
completely off topic. But Section 5 should be happy that Jim live streams, because that brings it gets Section 5 out there so kids are seen.
Well, that, if I understand correctly, is a publicly funded entity.
Okay.
New York State Public High School Athletic Association. Okay. So what they're doing is kind of crappy. I'll fill you in more once the show's over. We may not get Darric. I'm not sure if we're going to catch him or not.
Right there. Did you see it flying?
I heard it tapping around.
It looks like a big fly.
Okay.
Yeah, he's right there.
All right. So I'm going to put that plan on hold for a moment. We're going to shift some content up and down the tatters of our schedule. And we'll go this way. So over the weekend, there was a derby. Mm-hmm. Down in Whitfield, Virginia. It was the Blue Ridge Bash. Mm-hmm. That was this weekend. And I am very happy to see, up and down the list, all of the Mad Dog Awards went back to the Shenandoah Valley.
Cool.
Which was very cool.
Not hard to believe.
Right. A lot of them went back to the same road.
Funny how that works out, huh?
which was outstanding in its own right. I want to catch all that stuff here. Darric's writing me back now. So Dakota Bell came up with a win in the front-wheel drive compact division. Hunter Billmeyer, Mike Barber running through the top three. Randy Hahn coming up with the Mad Dog Award there. The compact main number 2, Jason Waterman got the win over Walker Cloud. Still one of my favorite names in Demolition Derby. And Matt Davidson in the 514. Matt Davidson, he's won a bunch of times at Cass in the Valley, Shenandoah County Fair. He is very, very good, and he ended up running third. Jake Knight got the compact Mad Dog in event number 2. Minivan SUV mini truck event up here. That's the equivalent of the junk run. That one went to Wesley Pitchford, and second place Jeff Crawford and Jesse Bates coming up third there. Austin Bates got the Mad Dog, and then a second Mad Dog award was given to Justin Murray. In that class was Mark Wolf. He ran a Jeep, and he made his door wrap, so it was called Jeepers Creepers, which is kind of cool.
Nice.
And then in the full size, Austin Hollers won in the Bad Habits car. Jeff Crosby, Donnie Fisher running down second. Donnie Fisher and Austin Davis coming up with a tie for third place. Jeff Crosby in second. Shane Hammond, number 75 out of Sean Gokenauer's camp. He ended up with the Mad Dog Award. A bunch of the Pattons were celebrating some success down there as well, which is good to hear. Dougie Melton came up with the win in the Power Wheel side of things. All right, while we're in Virginia, let's stay in Virginia. We'll be able to check that off the list. At least it looks like we've made some progress on this thing. JMW has officially sealed the deal, and Ed Brewster's going to be going to Spring Explosion and Metal Mayhem.
Cool.
So that's cool. And it's now sounding like he's going to be making the trip to TJ McCulloch's Derby. Undertaker's doing that Derby on Halloween in October.
Yep.
I can't remember what the name it was. The poster's have been all over.
Yeah,
It's the Dead Man Promotions.
Yeah, I just saw it, and it's got a really cool name, but for the life of me
But he's going to be good. We're going to be talking with TJ about that show as we get closer anyway. That falls on Halloween proper. So if you don't have children that like to go trick-or-treating, start heading down to Maryland, because that's probably going to be better weather than what we've got up here. So I think he's going to be over there as well. So his I've got 2 messages since Motorama where Ed was telling me that he was freaking out about different things. So, good for him.
Absolutely.
So we're going to get Darric on the phone now, and we'll make our trip back to Iowa so that we can talk more about Kansas.
A lot of guys from Iowa like to go down there and bend stuff.
Phil Brown just sent me the picture that you were discussing with Daniel.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Basically parked on top of the other guy.
It was pretty nice to get.
Yeah.
Phil Brown, also known as
Panda.
Working hard listening to us tonight.
Yep. So we got Blue Ridge Bash out of the way. Did you see they're trying to get a wet room together for Martin?
Yes.
Oh, that was cool.
Looks like the one GoFundMe, I believe, hit what they were hoping for.
Did it?
Yep.
Well, these two lived 6 miles apart, or whatever it was. Hey, they lived 6 miles apart, and the phone numbers for both of them were correct, and the correction that I made was not right. Apparently, they draw their phone numbers with a exceptionally sharp pencil, so those lanes are awful thin. So, anyway, Darric Wurth joining us on the line. Darric, good to have you back on the show, man. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. You excited about this coming weekend?
Yeah, you betcha.
What are you putting together to take down there?
Mike actually lent me his push bash car.
Nice.
Sweet. So how was that to put back together?
It wasn't bad. Pretty much all I had to do was a bunch of sheet metal work,
Yeah.
He got pushed and got stuck in Blizzard Bash and drove it off the track, so... not too bad.
My memory didn't serve right then, because I thought the bumper got shoved back on the one side of his car.
No.
So, well, that's good. I mean, that's certainly the better end of that error, I suppose. Not having to mess around with all that.
Absolutely.
You've we talked a couple times before in different combinations of stuff that your family's been running. How'd you get going in Demolition Derby to start with?
So Dad started out back in the day, and Mike picked up, and he's been doing it for Blizzard Bash. Last year was his 20th year of Derby, and so I've been doing it for 5 years now, and just grew up into it. Been building Derby cars since I was 10 years old.
And there's another Wurth that drives as well, right?
Yeah, my cousin, Matt.
And
yeah, we ran Blizzard Bash compacts together.
Right. You've stair-stepped up the way that you're supposed to on paper. You start with the small cars, you move up into the big cars, and et cetera. Now you've got this modified. I'm certainly no stranger to your home area having a car like this. Tell me what your preference is at this point. What do you like to build? What do you like to drive? And what do you think about the mod class and what it's come to be at Capital City Carnage?
So this is my first time ever stepping into a big car.
Mm-hmm.
I started out building a small car. Our hometown show when I very first started was allowed 2-man passenger.
Mm-hmm.
So, Dad stepped in with me and rode with me. And obviously he said never again. But,
a lot of people say that.
I've been there with Mike building his cars ever since I can remember.
Right.
And building this Blizzard Bash car, I don't know, I think big cars are definitely a lot more fun to build. I lived out with Polstol to help them build their Carnage wagons, and I don't know. I've got one compact left to run, and I think I'm selling out of compacts, and Mike's gonna sell me his stuff.
So Mike's gonna get out of it
eventually. I mean, he's going back to Blizzard Bash, and we'll kind of toss everything around together. But yeah, he's got a 2-month-old kid at home, so.
Mm-hmm. I mean, realistically,
he's slowing down, I guess, is the way to put it.
which I understand. I mean, with Booger slowing down too, I think there's some of that in there as well. Plus having a family.
He's surely definitely not getting out of it, but
yeah. Well, when you said he was just going to sell you all of his stuff, I was thinking I really don't know what he's selling you because he's so hard on his equipment. He just needs new, and this is a good way to make down payments.
I know.
So, are you a little anxious about running the big car in the mod heat at Capital City Carnage?
I can't say I'm not nervous, but I think it's definitely going to be fun. That list is definitely stacked. It's probably some of the best drivers out there, so it'll be definitely a learning lesson, and it'll be a fun time to run a big car for the first time.
Yeah, it's definitely it's going to be a learning experience. But I mean, you've been around them long enough. You've seen your brother and the crew go through it. So I mean, you kind of it's not like you're going in not knowing how things work and how tough the cars are. So I mean, you're pretty much ready for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is your roof sign going to be 5 feet long and 3 feet tall?
No. But I think that one's definitely a Mike ordeal.
Yeah. Man, I remember seeing that on top of the car when we went all over the place. We saw that up at Mandan, at the Mandan team show when you went up there.
It would have been Wadena.
I'm sorry. Yes. Yep. Wadena. Yes.
It's hard to miss that.
That was a fun time.
Wadena was always a good time. Absolutely, I agree with that. This is going to lead to you spending more time in big cars. So does that mean we're going to see you in on a quartet at Blizzard Bash this year?
No. But I think Mike's definitely going back on TVL, and I will just be here to build the car.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of driving. I definitely enjoy it, but I think I'd rather enjoy the time sitting out in the shop with the team and building the cars, and
That's cool.
you know, I've talked to the Postal boys about it, and we're all, you know, sometimes it's just more fun to build the cars, enjoy the time in the shop than it is at the Derby because it's so hectic and you know.
Right.
Yeah, we touched on, you know, the amount of time and energy that goes into these cars. I mean, it's not so bad, you know, at Capital City, because obviously it's one and done. But I mean, for the you know, the stuff that goes on during the week at Blizzard Bash, I mean, that's, you know, those guys are crew. I mean, you know, you included, because I'm sure you go, you know, help bike all week. It's just
absolutely.
It's insane what you guys are able to do and get the cars ready to come back and run.
Yeah, I mean, this year we definitely had better luck than we have most, but, you know, Corey Nias had to pull motor out, put a different clutch in. You know, it's definitely not a fun full week of working on cars, you know what I mean? You're scrambling around trying to find parts, and definitely excited to just go to Carnage and do a one and done, load it on the trailer afterwards and drink beer.
Yep, put down the trailer, maybe have a cold beverage as you're watching the next class run.
You betcha.
Well, coming up on the 5th and the 6th and the 7th, you're not going to have to worry anything about heat draws. You're not going to have to worry a whole lot about rebuilds and stuff like that. Does that give you a little bit more free reign to go wide open faster?
I think so. You kind of know, you know, you already have the drivers list out. So, I mean, there's a couple names you might know. There's, you know, you get out on the track and, you know, I've never ran against anybody, but, you know, you just go out there and feel for it and see who comes after you.
It's an eclectic list. You can find it all out there. You're not going to look at that list and say, there's your winner.
Yeah.
And the thing is like we were talking with Cheesy a few minutes ago, is on that class, you're not going to look at the rundown and say, well, this is your top three, because there's so much that goes into the variables. So many of these cars have already been through multiple battles in terms of the qualifying rounds that they saw in the fall, and then they've been put back together and they're brought back to as close as they can be to perfect. And then they get the sheet metal and the fenders and the quarters and everything knocked off them again. So they're reduced to basically an engine protector and some doors. Yeah. And
sometimes not even the doors. Let's be honest. We see some doors pushed in at Topeka.
But
and it don't help that track's, you know, not forgiving, you know. You can go down there with the best shit, and you never know if you're going to make it out because that track's so hard on everything.
Yeah.
So I guess, you know, this is your first time in a big car, so there's not necessarily any bad habits to break or anything that falls into the some of the stuff that we get from, at least when the microphones are off, the guys that have done it. The guys that have done it a thousand different times. I mean, what's your expectation going into this?
You know, I've watched Mike run how many times, and just, you know, I try and study it, and I'm just going to go out and try and drive like him. And God, my main thing is, you know, you lend me the car, and first time I'm going to go out there and try to have fun.
Sure,
absolutely.
You know, I just, if I give them back junk, it's not my problem, right?
You know, and that's the thing, is that's one thing I've tried to tell, and I mean, not that you're a beginner by any means, but I think too many guys get into the sport and don't just have fun. You know what I mean? Like they
can't anymore.
I agree.
You know, I gotta win. And I mean, let's be honest, we all got into the sport because it was cool to smash cars. I mean, honestly, that's why we all got involved, because it was cool to see what a smashed car would look like and do the smashing, and man, I hit this guy like that. And I just don't think that there's not enough young guys that enjoy that stuff anymore. You know what I mean? I got all these parts.
Winning.
Yeah.
And I got to buy all these parts to keep up, right?
And I mean, you know, that's the thing, is that, you know, I've got way more Mad Dogs than I ever had wins, and I mean that's just, it's never going to change. But and it is. I mean, it's fun to just. I mean, I don't know how these guys do it in the mod cars, because I'd be in traction for a week afterwards. But it's fun to just go out there and just stand on the gas and put on a show. It really is. You know, there's just there's not enough guys that go out and have fun and just wreck cars and enjoy wrecking cars.
Well, Mike's driving style isn't hard to figure out. You find a really, really loud motor, and then just subscribe to the assumption that if you lift off the throttle, you're going to die.
Yeah, they definitely have some pretty nasty sounding motors. That goes without saying.
And he just goes end to end. It's fighter jets in a gymnasium when he's out there. So I am thrilled to see if that's your case study and you're going to try to go out and replicate that. Then
that's excellent.
Then there's going to be havoc wrought for sure.
Yeah, he gave me the whole car, so I got his motor. I got upholstery end. I got everything. I don't know if I'm going to step into his shoes quite yet, but I'm definitely going to go out there and try and have fun. So
did he
might hear the motor once or twice, but we'll see, I guess.
Did he give you any advice?
Not yet. I'm sure, when we're down there, we're drunk, and he'll give me the old rundown, and I'll try and remember it. But, and that's the thing, you go on that track, and, you could have a mindset. It just gets totally ruined within the first 5 seconds, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing. I mean, we've seen that mod class where they come out, and it's almost like the feature at Blizzard Bash. It's kind of playing chess. And then somebody throws that one big haymaker, and everybody's on the gas. And we've also seen it where they come out and say go, and it's wide open until the end. So I mean, it's hard to say, which way it's going to go.
That's exactly. That's why my first deal is just see how it shakes out the first, and whoever hits you, just start hitting them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, man, we wish you the best of luck. We'll try and catch up with you when we get down there. Anybody that you want to mention? I know we talked a lot about Dad and Mike. Anybody else?
I have to give it out to the Postal crew. I don't think I'd be here without them. And Dad, Mike, obviously for sure, the TBL crew. Mm-hmm. But other than that, Brody Brown for all the help, and probably about it.
Awesome. Well, Darric, man, we look forward to catching up with you down there in Topeka. Good luck. Hopefully everything goes your way on the travels down as you finish the car and everything falls in line once you get out on the track.
Perfect. Thank you guys for having me.
You bet. We'll see you later.
Thanks for being on.
Yep. Bye.
Bye now. There goes Darric Wurth. We just about nailed the time on that one. I lost my train of thought there. Yes. Thank you for the very, very cowboy of you. I almost had my thought back too.
Come on, Rockstar.
It's gone. Oh, the pace. We've seen some of those mod classes where it's going to be like, wow, this thing's going to take an hour and a half. We're going to be here forever. It's like 35 minutes. Mm-hmm. 19 cars, 35 minutes on all mod cars. And
yeah. We've also seen mod cars that go till 5:30 in the morning.
Well, a little different, but the same, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a great show.
I hope that we put the right GoFundMe link up for Martin's Operation Wet Room, because I see it's only got 520 raised on it, and you said the other one was full.
I think there was two different ones.
Yeah,
one was 1,500, and I believe that one was full. I could be wrong.
So they started the second.
I mean, you can check Jody's. Jody would probably be the one to check out, because I think that's where I saw it.
Yeah, worst case, go to Jody Gully's page. So we're cycling back around now to where we had initially started. Blue Ridge Bash, check that off. JMW going to
everywhere.
Explosion and to
Mayhem.
Metal Mayhem. Mike Cooper, we're going to miss him. Losing him last week was a surprise to everybody. Capital City Carnage coming up March 5th is the heat draw, 6th and 7th is the Derby. Paradise Speedway is the home of the annual Northeast Demolition Derby swap meet. That is going to be this weekend. Make sure you get over there. Again, that's going to be falling on this weekend, February the 29th. So make sure you get over there. Check that out. A bunch of awesome vendors going to be on hand. Ryan Ostranders from CFP, Jeff Showman, Rick Clark, and Gary Noe going to be up there, in addition to now Mad Mike's Derby Shop. Going to be part of that. So right now I think we are back to being at least close to on schedule. I don't know. Whatever. What's the worst they're going to do? Kick us out of here?
Wouldn't be the first time we've been
I remember when we were over at the other studio one time. They were knocking on the door. They're like, "You need to be done."
Yeah,
Like,
Jim coming in, setting stuff down, getting ready to go.
this might not.
Not going as planned, huh? Well, only 1 out of 3 is bad for, other end. So have you seen, I think Pork Chop and his boy are going to
Is
run
this
at-
episode 1?
Yes. 0.5. I think Pork Chop and his boy are running Bash for Cash.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I've
cool.
seen some stuff going on.
Mark, how are you?
Hey, Chris. Hey, Brian. What's
There we
up?
are.
What's
All right,
going on?
perfect. I didn't want to leave him hanging. Finish your thought, please.
No, I
Pork
just said
chop and
Pork Chop and his boy, I think, are going to Bash for Cash to run this year. I believe.
to run what?
I almost think he's building him a youth car.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. They're Derbian cars.
Yeah.
Are they? Is Pork Chop riding passenger?
I don't know. It would have to be a big car for Pork Chop to ride past.
Well, I think that he would change his mind about the time they pulled out. He'd be like, "Yeah, you're on your own." Unless
He's definitely, I think, running his own car. I think that his brother from another mother, Jason Koch, is hooking it up for the hometown crowd.
It's cool.
that'll be cool.
Did you see the video of Jason pulling out of his shop with a 6.0 XL LS
Yes.
with 13-inch tires on the back, and they were spinning about 400 miles an hour? That was pretty cool.
Yeah, like something was chasing him. That was cool.
Yeah.
It was very cool. So, Mark Elliott checking in with our regular update here on the Unified Point Series. Derby Tees has reached a new stratosphere in the partner level, the partner tier levels with the Unified Point Series, the Quadruple Platinum Plus. 742 shirts total is what you ended up with the pre-sale.
743 total.
Oh.
I might snuck in somehow at 5 a.m. or 5:26 a.m. or something. I don't know.
Nice.
It was really nice of your mom to order at that hour.
Yeah. No. Can you hear me? Okay.
I can hear you just fine.
Great. So yeah. Number one, I mean, huge thanks and props again, and I will continue throughout this year to thank Derby Tees for the opportunity that they did give. And Mark, when we saw that sales were going okay, he joked and said, "Does this make me double platinum?" And then the joke went to he asked on the last day if it made him triple platinum, and after I'd done the math, I definitely said it's actually 4.7 times. So I don't know what else to call it, but quadruple plus.
Sure. Well, that's it's awesome that those went as well as they did coming this week. We've got hats, then those are going to be available for pickup at Bluegrass Bash, right?
Yeah. So he did. There were people that asked along the way about hats and some different things, and hats. I'm trying to keep my workload down. Hats, I'm hoping, are manageable. That is my investment, so that's not another online campaign. That's an investment that I'm going to make because enough people asked about them,
Sure.
and I don't have to pick sizes. So
Right.
so I'm hoping that with little thought process involved, that it will be something simple. Just one get me a hat, and those that have asked, and hoping that they'll just get bought up at Bluegrass Bash. But the series, it really ended well, but it definitely tested my character and my patience and many things, my ego. I don't remember what I've shared with you, but I had high aspirations from day one, with a goal of 1,000, and Mark did he laughed. That gives you a challenge in itself, but sure. Once he shared the data, the reality was there, and day 1, 2, and 3 backed up pretty much what he said. So if I gave any credit to what turned things around, I did a little digging in myself and asked myself, what am I doing here? So I feel like vendors and promoters and really the community's on the chopping block a lot. There's a lot of hands out, and everybody wants to help everybody, and we're a great community and a derby family, as we call it, and it's easy to want to get involved in those things, but when there's always so many hands out, it really, sometimes it puts people in a tough spot because they do want to help, and so. And sometimes they're not in a place, and because I wasn't accepting hard parts, I think that threw a curveball to most of the vendors. So on day 3, when we pretty much flatlined, we sold 3 on day 3, and I'm like, what are we doing here? It was almost embarrassing, and in the most sincere and honest, genuine way, I'm like, okay, for 3 days straight, I have asked, I have begged, I have pushed, I've promoted, I've tried to sell these shirts, and it's not happening. It is absolutely flatlined. So what are we doing, and what can we do different? And I just started praising people. Like, I was so appreciative to the 62 people that did step forward and right. did join in with that. I was so genuinely appreciative to them. It wasn't even a cry for help or a marketing. It was like, thank you. And when that started, everything turned around. Mark texted me and said, I don't know what you're doing different, but something's changed. His email started blowing up, and that was the turning point. And we set the goal of 527, and we passed that. And I let the Derby community set another goal, and they did that for 712, our late friend Tom Wyatt. And we passed that, and to get to 743, it wasn't 1,000, but the fact that we got that far from where right. we were at day 3, and to find out that not only were they going to give the $5 that they promised, which would have been double and a half, a platinum sponsor, that would have been about $3,400. When he sent me that they were giving 6,908, I promise you I almost passed out. I had tears in my eyes. I didn't know what to think. I didn't know how to react. My reaction was to try to talk him out of it. Like, are you sure? Like, what are you making out of this? But after getting our ass kicked all week long and being completely over it, for them to do that instead of putting that money in their pocket, just for anybody listening, I want to put it right out there in the air that Derby Tees did not have to do that, and they did, and I'll be forever grateful.
That's awesome. I'm glad that turned around the way that it did.
Absolutely.
'Cause that's those were some big numbers to come through and tackle. On the other topic of big numbers, 99, that's a pretty good percentage number when you factor that against a measure of 100%. The website's almost done. Shannon Davis has been working on that and putting in hours outside of the typical hour expectations, and that also led to you getting another partner, which brings you to a total of 58. Jill Hiddle, attorney at law, joining now, which is a nice resource to have for a startup business. The website's going to be coming out here fairly soon.
So, yeah, this represents this entire series. So I sent you that text yesterday, or I think it was yesterday, because I thought you were on last night, and things changed today. So we actually did launch today.
Okay, perfect.
About 4 hours ago, Shannon and I met on Sunday, and we put in 4 to 5 hours. That was the first FaceTime that we actually had. Everything had been via mobile.
Right.
And the plan was to just knock it out and launch, but I think we left there with a bigger list, but it was
Sure.
a good value added 4 to 5 hours, and she worked on it late last night, and that's why I sent you that message. Like, I couldn't pay her, or I couldn't praise her enough for her efforts, and they're priceless. The time that she has tried to put in it, and it's more than about the time. My personality scores off the charts if you take a disc profile as a D, and although there's some great leaders that are Ds, there's also some dicks, and when push comes to shove, it's easy to shift gears into that dick mode when
Right.
you're trying to make things happen, and her patience with me has been second to none. So we hit launch today, and that was exciting. It was one of the most exciting texts I've sent since the series started a month ago, was to send that to her that I just launched it, and a handshake and emoji, and immediately my phone starts blowing up, shares and likes, and then friends reaching out, hey, your website's jacked, and it was jacked. You could not view it from cell phone, you could view it from desktop, and the fight or flight reaction was like, shit, do I delete the post? Do what? I didn't know what to do. She was busy at the law office. Apparently they've got a pretty booming business there. So I tried to call the website. You can't talk to anybody. You got to email. They're supposed to call back in 24 hours.
Right.
I was about to lose it. I didn't know what to do. So I just got in there and started trying to do it myself. I worked on it for 3 straight hours, and somehow, some way, I'm not taking credit for being able to view it now because I have no idea what I did. But that's me. That's me in a demolition derby car. It's almost like I go into this place where I'm not going to breathe tomorrow if this doesn't happen. And she finally got off work, and she's like, I'm going to try to get on it. And she's like, hey, wait a minute. You must have done something. I can see everything now. Look, I have no clue what I did, but you can view it now, and it is fantastic to have another piece to the puzzle in place for that information for the people, so that they can go and get hopefully the information that they're looking for, and save me some messages and things like that.
And what's the web address?
It is, I tried to put in www.527unifiedseries.com, and the only way that I was able to get it through was with some HH.
Okay.
It's all over you can go to my announcing page, my regular Facebook page, and folks are sharing it. And I've already added that to my announcing page.
Perfect.
So I will message you that. That way I know that you need it for your information. I will send you that link. But as of right now, you can view it from your desktop. You can view it from your cell phone, which is most important, I think, in today's world, because most people are going to look at it on their cell phones. And the thing that I'm most excited about on there is she created an appreciation page, and collectively we combine that with a sponsor page. Mm-hmm. And so when you click on that appreciation page, it has everybody involved, including Crash Course. And if you click on their icon, it takes you straight to their website or their Facebook page. So
yeah, that's awesome.
I didn't want to put any rules, and then people say they got the rules off my website, and they're not the right rules. I just wanted to put the information on there for folks to find the people.
Yep, it's a good move. Probably the best move you could have made right there. That way, if anything changes, they can't come back and pick on you. And again, more to the point of directing traffic to the places that it needs to go. About 2 weeks, on the 14th of March, you guys are going to be having a youth drivers meeting at Smith Metal Works. about their opportunity to be part of the series, which is really cool, that the youth drivers are going to be part of it. And a youth driver and parent in the country is invited to make the trip to Smith Metal Works. Bring your oversized carry-ons. You can take a bumper home with you.
Yes, amongst
Smith
many
Metal
other
Works.
amazing parts.
Smith Metal Works is one of the gold levels partners for the Unified Series. So that right there is, in our talks prior, I never really gave any thought to the fact that whether a youth driver could or couldn't end up finishing in the money. Now they've got the chance to be part of the series one way or another.
So I'm glad you brought that up because, they wanted me to speak, whether it's by Skype or whether I can get there, which I'm really going to try to get there. But they wanted me to speak to those drivers pertaining to the Unified Series, and so I'm trying to think, what message do I want to send? And you just said it. Because I've continued and I will continue to tell people that I don't care if you run all 30 shows or if you run 10 shows, nobody, including myself, knows how this is going to play out. Right. You have to place the top 3, and if there's 8, 9 youth demolition derbies, I'll use one kid as an example. Freebie, Scott Drebnick, his son, little Freebie. He cleaned up last year. So now you take him, and let's say he won 4 or 5 shows last year. Mm-hmm. That's 10 points a pop. I'm telling you right now, I'll speak for Scott because I guarantee you he would say the same thing. If come mid-season, because, those are county fairs, so there's a lot of demolition derby in the series after that county fair season. Mm-hmm. If he's sitting in a similar spot that he was last year on wins, guess what Dad's going to have him in? He's going to look for every cherry-picking derby, novice, whatever that class is, lawnmowers, it doesn't matter. That kid's going to be running them, and absolutely, I believe with every bone in my body that stranger things have happened in demolition derby, that it could happen.
Absolutely.
I think that's really cool.
Yeah, it is. Very cool.
Can you imagine?
It's amazing. I don't even know what to think about it.
Well, you put it together, so you gotta have some thoughts on it eventually, right?
Oh, boy.
Well, I think that's really cool. I got the link for the website. That's coming up here momentarily. That's going to be in the comments underneath the show post. You can find everything out more there. We're going to be catching up next Monday for a quick recap on Bluegrass, right?
Yes. So Bluegrass Bash is full swing ahead. The last time we talked about 9 qualified drivers being involved in that, and we also talked about all of the minivan winners, which I think was 9 or 10 of them, that most of them were doubling up in classes, so double the chance for points. A guy messaged me tonight, Greg Estes. Hi, my name's Greg, and it turns out he's building a raffle car for the mini car class at the Bluegrass Bash. I didn't even know about that, or if I did, I forgot about it. So his question was, will the mini cars will they have a chance to be in your point series, and will the raffle car driver, will they have a chance to qualify? So this local, I'm guessing from Louisville or somewhere, local organization is trying to raise some money. They've teamed up with the NDDA. They've got a car built. He sent me a video. It looks like a good car, and they're already doing the math. If they can put the right driver in it, that might be able to qualify for points. So a lot of people are thinking about this.
And the points go to the driver, not the car.
Yeah, very cool.
Right?
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, sounds like everything's pulling in a real positive direction, and travel safe, of course, on your way down to Bluegrass. I look forward to catching up with you next Monday, and we'll give a recap on what happens down there. I know that points, the points. I wanted to say the point schedule. It's not. Okay. It's the point scoring and the standings. They're certainly going to be jumbled after this weekend.
Oh, definitely.
If nothing else, you're going to have a handful of new drivers scoring points. It's going to be a 47-way tie for first.
Absolutely, it's going to be cool.
But that will, as we get further and further, that is going to sort itself out, because this is only event number 4 out of 30. There's still plenty more to go.
Yep.
Mark, man, I appreciate you coming on the show and giving us a rundown and giving us an update on where things are at. Sounds like you guys have been putting in a lot of work.
awesome, and just wanted to definitely let you guys know that I listened to the show the entire time before you called me. So you guys did great as always. I enjoyed both of those interviews, and I enjoyed your challenges that you faced, because that's the exact day that I've had. So it just let me know that I'm not alone. So keep digging.
Yeah, we are very close to the end, and then there won't be any challenges again until tomorrow.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Awesome.
Always good, Mark. Thank you.
Yep. Take care, Chris. See you, Brian.
See you,
See you later. Bye now.
Bye.
Get everything crossed off your list?
Yeah, I think so. Paradise is this weekend. Don't forget that. Check out Jody Gully's page. She's got the GoFundMe stuff out there for the wet room. Basically, it's an opportunity for Martin. And if you're in the Northeast, you know the story of Martin. If you're familiar with San Filippo, if you've got any remote connection to Josh Decker, you know about San Filippo. And they're trying to put this together. He's going to be 10 years old this year. Basically, going to give him a roll-in shower, basically, and then a tub so that he can soak a little bit. At this point, Martin is not really able. I guess he's not really able to talk a whole lot now at all or anything.
Not much talking anymore.
It's an awful situation. So they're trying to make them.
And the idea with the wet room is Martin has gotten tall.
Operation Rubber Ducky is the
Operation
name.
But Martin's gotten taller. So by doing this, it's going to make it easier for them to, give him a shower and bathe him. Because again, he's got some pretty long legs. When Zach and I were there a year ago for hunting, he was still able to stand up and walk some, and it was amazing to watch, because you forget, once as your kids get older, you forget about those growth spurts. But Martin had gotten quite a bit taller, so this is a way for them to be able to wash and bathe him easier. We always talk about how the Derby world comes together, so this would be something cool for some Derby fans and Derby family to donate to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and. Just to wrap it up quick, it won't go quick.
Never does.
Never does. No, it's not. We opened the show with a picture of Cooper Snyder. Tom and Becky are longtime friends of ours, and they're not connected to Demolition Derby really in any way. Tom is a teacher at Geneva City School District. He taught AP Bio. He started teaching there about the same time as Melissa did, and Becky worked for one of the banks, and now she's got a side business in agriculture, and Tom's really involved with Oaks Corner Fire Department. So there's definitely things that are on the offshoots of Demolition Derby, but more than any of the connections to Demolition Derby is Tom and Becky are friends, big time friends, and they had Cooper in March of last year, and he was born with Down syndrome. And he had a lot of challenges and stuff. And in between when he was born and I'd say probably right around the first of the year, he had 2 open heart surgeries. And then he ended up having a third to put in to replace valves and other problems. And he had some issues with his brain, and he passed away over break. And both Melissa and I were sick and just sort of unconscious of the world, and I got a text message from another teacher friend of mine who was close with them as well, asking if we had heard anything from them without any details, and you just immediately know. And Melissa had missed a call from Tom, and we had to go to the funeral on Saturday, which was by far and away one of the toughest things I've ever had to do. But they had a little casket that was the size of an igloo cooler, man, and that whole room was singing "Jesus Loves Me" and stuff, and it helped put into perspective a little bit about where everything is at with Demolition Derby. And we always talk about our family and stuff like that, and this isn't necessarily Demolition Derby connected or our friends or more than that. And I just wanted to take a minute sort of to acknowledge what those guys had been through. I
I shared Cooper's obituary on the page so that you could read a little bit more about what they had been through. They got a daughter that's 5 years old, and she was there. She had a tough time, obviously. And Cooper hadn't been able to be home since, I think it was like November. So it'd been a long time since he'd been able to come back home with all the different surgeries and stuff that he had gone through. And in the midst of all of that, the Methodist Church in Canandaigua was full, wall-to-wall full. And then a bunch of people went to the commitment ceremony that they had over at Jocelyn Cemetery, and then they had probably 175 people over at Oaks Corner Fire Department after that. Just kind of hanging out and being with them, and it was good to see Tom and Becky, because obviously they've had their hands full otherwise with everything that's been going on. And just to share the story that, I guess we're not immune to it, for one, because it affects us as close to home and as far away as one way or the other. And I don't know if anybody that tunes in and listens could take a minute. The page is still the obituary page is still active. So if you could just go on there and leave a comment, say hello. Tom might get really mad that I did this. I don't know. He doesn't know. I never did get permission or anything. I just sort of just did it somewhat organically. But when we were sitting there, it was something at least that we wanted to do, let Tom know that we were thinking about him. And as big as this community is, if you think of it, they did take donations in Cooper's name to the Ronald McDonald House, because that was the home away from home for a long time. And just to kind of finalize on everything, one of the craziest things that I've ever seen in my life was at that funeral, with the little casket sitting on the altar and that room full, and all the PowerPoints that they had up on the wall. Tom got up and spoke and thanked everybody that was there. And we heard a lot of people that were commenting and saying, it's like, man, if this was my kid, I wouldn't be able to do it. I wouldn't be able to do that. And I think probably more people, they have the strength inside them more than they thought. They probably would if it was their kid too. Mm-hmm. But if you could take a minute and just have some of your time and let them know that you're thinking of them too. We had a lot of good news on the show, and we had a lot of rough news on the show, and we had a lot of Demolition Derby news on the show, and I think above all else with everything that has happened, notwithstanding the news about Tom and Becky and an 11-month-old Cooper, but if you don't want to take the time and do something with that for that family, as we're asking, send a message to Brent Clemenson. Because that's probably the best news that we got out of this hour and a half today.
Yeah, that was. I was just going to touch on that. It's, you had told me, you sent me a text last week when that happened. I didn't know the people, and actually I have to ask a guy I work with is a member of the Oaks Corners Fire Department, so I'll have to ask him about that when I see him. But it's weird how the world works. If I offend anybody, that's fine. It's not the first time, it won't be the last. I've always believed in God. And, especially in today, if people believe, they don't talk about it as much, and it's, people feel how they feel for whatever reason. The Daytona 500 this year reassured me that there is a God, because Ryan Newman walked away from that accident and he shouldn't have. And we don't always understand what happens and why things happen. We've all been through stuff in our life, every one of us. But unfortunately, the Lord felt fit to take a little boy, and apparently the Lord has helped to save a little girl. So it's just weird, and I'm sorry if I make people mad with that. That's my opinion. If you don't like my opinion, you can let me know if you feel strongly enough about it. But it is, it's crazy how stuff works. If nothing else, if you don't want to reach out to anybody, just tell your loved ones that you love them, because you never know. That's one thing I've definitely learned.
That is a fact.
Tell your loved ones you love them. Just
it's over break. Your mom had her anniversary, right?
Yep. We had. I think this was 3 years ago. We were getting ready. My birthday's in February. January. My wife's is in January. My dad's birthday's in February. Their anniversary's in February, and we always go back to Mom's and have homemade pizza and some homemade ice cream. Well, my dad gets homemade ice cream for my sister because she's the favorite. But anyways, so we were getting ready for all that 3 years ago, and my mom had a heart attack and triple bypass, and that definitely make you search your soul, and it's weird. And I've never told anybody this, and maybe this isn't the right crowd to tell, and maybe it is, but when my mom was in the hospital, I didn't feel right praying to God to ask him for help, because I don't pray enough.
Sure.
I'm not just going to ask, and that may sound dumb, but I asked her.
What makes me so special to get to jump line?
Yeah.
So
I didn't. I never. But I asked. I had a friend, and she's very religious, and I said, hey, if you could say a prayer for my mom, I'd really appreciate it. And everything turned out well. So, amazing doctor. Everything worked out. But again, it's very sad. There's nothing worse in the world than losing a child. You touched on, being strong if it happened. I don't know. And I pray to God that I never do. But nothing worse can happen to a family than losing a child. So, again, if you don't want to reach out to anybody, just, before you go to sleep tonight, tell everyone that's close to you, you love them, give them a hug and a kiss. And it's my advice. Take or leave it.
Absolutely. So, as we open the show, like I said, 310 is in memory, dedicated to Cooper Snyder.
Can I kiss you on air?
If you want to.
Really?
No. Okay. and also remembering Mike Cooper. That is going to do it for this one. Episode 310 is in the books. We're going to be back again next week for our final run-up to Capital City Carnage. We look forward to seeing everybody then. See you next time.
Crash Course Live is presented by Smash It Demolition Derby, who host Bash for Cash, Blizzard Bash, and Capital City Carnage. Online at smashitderby.com. And Stirring Dirt Racing, hosts of May Mania's team show at the Golden Spike Arena in Ogden, Utah. Online at stirringdirtracing.com. Reckless Abandon Derby Apparel, and Derby Inc. Magazine. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York.